everyone, I'm Lauren from My Something Beautiful Life. Today I actually want to show you something a little bit different. This has been really helpful for me, and so I thought it was worth sharing. But this is my recipe binder. I put one of these together for me, my mom, and my sister-in-law a few years ago, and I just really love it. It has truly been the best thing for me to keep the recipes that I love organized. So I just thought it would be fun to show you, and then maybe you can make one of your own. It's really easy, and one of the things that I love best about it is that it's not pretty and organized, which you will definitely see, but I just throw in whatever form I have the recipe in. Sometimes I print them offline, sometimes I handwrite them. I have some recipe cards that my grandmother sent me. It's just all kinds of things all mixed into one. But I know what's in here, and when I'm looking for a specific recipe, I know exactly where to find it. And if you are like me and you have ADHD or anything that just makes you feel scattered most of the time, one of the most important things that you can do is make sure that you have a set place for information that you want to save, so that when you actually want it, you know where to go back and look for it. I'll be honest that I'm not super good with that, but this is one of the areas where I actually do have it down to a system, and it's working so well. Anyway, with all that being said, I will show you in it. I didn't do anything to like spruce this up or change it. In fact, I think there's some flour and stuff on it from actually using it. Anything that I can link for you, I will, but a lot of it is just so generic that you almost don't even need a link for it. But I'll do my best. So in this front cover, I often will put recipes here that I want to try, especially if I want to try them in the immediate future. But things that are here are not things that I know are like tried and true recipes. I also have our little ice cream maker book in here. I just threw it in because, again, I just needed to know where it was. It does have some recipes, but it also has the instruction manual, and it's a fairly new machine, and so I just want to make sure that we're actually using it right. We haven't used it a whole lot yet, which, by the way, it's super cool. I didn't even know things like this existed. We've always used like I want to say more traditional ice cream makers, like where you have to put in rock salt and ice and things like that, and it sits there and it spins around in a circle, and you have to sit there and watch it and make sure that the salt water doesn't get into the ice cream. All of that. I've done that like my whole life. That's like our 4th of July tradition. We would always make ice cream with my grandma growing up. So that whole concept really is nostalgic to me. But then just this past summer, we bought this ice cream maker where you just dump the mix in and it does all the work. And it's so nice. There's no salt and no ice. Anyway, if you're thinking about getting an ice cream maker, I say go for it because they are so nice. Back to the book though. Okay, so here, this is a list of cookies that I was making for Christmas last year, just showing what's still in here. I have a recipe for shortbread, and then a recipe I printed for some blueberry muffins. And then this is just a list of recipes that I was trying to remember to add into it, which I've gotten most of those. But that's pretty much what I keep in here, just little random things, but mostly I use it for recipes that I want to try out in the near future. I will put them in here. And I have another book that I'll show you in a minute where I keep more recipes, but that's a little bit different. Okay, so then over here I have this little zipper pocket, and the only thing inside of here are some little scraps of paper that I use to write down recipes when I just need to write one down. If it's something that somebody's telling me about, or it's just really short and it's not worth printing, I'll just write it on here. Or sometimes if it's something that I saw in a YouTube video, then I will just handwrite it. So I have a few little scraps of paper in here that I can just use to jot down recipes, and I cut them to size to fit inside my pockets, which I will show you in a minute. I have the whole thing divided up into sections. One thing I would definitely encourage, if this is something that you want to do, don't use the sections that make sense to everybody else. Use the sections that make sense in your own home. So the ones that I have in here are main dishes, slow cooker, casseroles, sides and appetizers, soups and salads, breakfast, breads, quick breads, desserts, beverages, and miscellaneous. And then I have some other tabs back here, but they're not ones I use. At least I don't think there's anything back there. Yeah, those are all empty. They were just ones that I made when I actually set up the whole binder, but then I realized that they didn't work for me. They're not things that I want to use to categorize my recipes. Like things like slow cooker and casseroles, yes, they're main dishes, but if I want a slow cooker recipe, I want to be able to go and see all of my slow cooker recipes. Same with casseroles. They're kind of just in a different category of meal for me. And so that's why I choose to have those ones out. But then things like quick and easy and healthy, that's not how I want to categorize it, because if it's quick and easy, it's probably a slow cooker recipe or a casserole. As for the dividers themselves, the design, it actually kind of came from Just a Girl and her blog, and I will link that below if you want to see it. But what I did was I put it in Photoshop and I took out the words that she used and I rewrote what categories I wanted on them, and I changed the colors. I think she had different colors and I made it like the pink and the dark purple. And so these exact ones are not what she has on her site, but I will link it in case you just like the design. Or you can just make up your own on Canva or whatever. It's super easy. I'm sure even Etsy has some for sale if you wanted to go that way. And then what I did was I laminated them, and I only used 3mm lamination, which is one of the thinner ones. For a lot of things I will use 5, but because I knew I was going to have a lot of other pages in this, I wanted it as thin as possible. So I only used the 3mm, and it's been holding up really well. I mean, honestly, this binder is probably, I want to say it's like at least 6 or 7 years old. So they're holding up just fine. I made the tabs with something called a tab punch, and I don't know if those are for sale anymore. I think they kind of discontinued them. But there's other kinds of sticky tabs that you can get, and so I'm sure you'd be able to find an option. Even just something like Avery tabs I think would work just fine. If I do happen to be able to find this on Amazon, I will link that too. But one of the problems with it is that you have to buy like the little stickers and then the punch separately. They just have different shape punches, and then they have the stickers that match it, that laminate it. And then you can just print out on computer paper, or I use just the colored paper, what you want it to say, and then you punch it out with the punch. You can line it up so that the words fit on there well. And then it just has this little sticker that just kind of wraps around it. Honestly, I don't think I would buy them again if I was going to. They work really well for this, but a lot of them are just so big and bulky, and that's not really my style. And so just in general, that's probably not something I would spend money on, especially if your only purpose for it is for making something like this. I would definitely just try a different type of sticky tab. You could also even just buy traditional dividers and label them, and it would work just fine too. And while I could probably show you all of the recipes I have, that's not really the point of this, because I want you to customize it with the recipes that you love. The ones that you just find on Pinterest and then you do it, or maybe it's a recipe that has been handed down in your family. Another thing I like to do is customize recipes. I will adapt them as I go. I can show you that better when I'm in the cookie section, because that's where I do it most often probably. But you can see like these ones are handwritten, and then I have these ones that I actually printed out. I made this page myself. These were the ones that I did when I made them for my mom and my sister-in-law. We were also doing a freezer meal night, and so all of the ones that we did for freezer meals, I put them like on a recipe page and put them in their cookbook for them. So that's why some of them will look like this. I don't do this anymore. I don't want to go to that much effort, honestly. So here's one I got from a friend. This is one I found online and just retyped it into Word. Here's one I printed online. So anything counts. I mean, it doesn't matter how it gets in there and what it looks like. Just put it in so that you know where to find it. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to point out was these are my pockets that I found. I think they are meant for 5x7 photos. So this one's divided in half. And I think it's the perfect size for a recipe card. They also have bigger ones and smaller ones. Like you can get the collector card ones that have like 9 to a page if you just wanted something really small. Or they have one that has 4 to a page. Or you can just get normal sheet protectors that are full size, which I have some of those too, but I also just really like these half ones because then I can fit more recipes in. And I use them front and back. It depends on the recipe. So I have like 2 different chow mein recipes, and see this one I have all of the different directions on it that I just wrote out. And then my slow cooker recipes. I have a little post-it note right here of a recipe that I want to add that we tried that was really good. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I just have the recipes in here that I want to go look for again. This one I even put the package in here where it had the recipe on it, because this recipe actually doesn't come on their packages anymore. This is the spinach dip recipe from the vegetable soup mix. And they have different recipes on the back. And so I saved this one because this is our favorite spinach dip and I can't find the recipe anywhere anymore. There's a little card that my mom made me. I just love how random it is. So this is one that my grandma gave me, and so I put that one in. I love when the recipes are handwritten from like whoever they originated from. Oh, this one is fun too. I found this article or blog post online about wheat bread, and so I put that in because that's something that I've struggled with. And so I thought this was really helpful, and so I put that in here. And I still use other cookbooks too. This isn't the only thing I reference. This is just for all of the recipes that don't have a place. And you can even see here's one in here that I didn't even punch in yet. And then there's my desserts. I really should make a tab for cookies specifically because most of what's in my dessert section is all cookies. I also have lots of these pockets in here. And so you can see here, this is one I printed out, and then I did like an adaptation of what I actually did when I was making it, because that way if I liked it or didn't like it, I know what changes I made and whether or not I should replicate them. I think you kind of get the general idea of this. And then just in the very back, I have more of the pockets in here. And let's see, there's another one. And then I have a couple more recipes back here. I think I actually did, yeah, I did make this one, but it wasn't my favorite, so it ended up in the back. And then just some other little random things. But that's basically what it is. I mean, there's not a whole lot to show you. It's not like this pretty thing. I mean, my notebook's pretty. I love the notebook that it's in. But it's just functional, and that's what I just love most about it. Okay, so this is my other notebook. This one actually came from like Dollar Tree or something. It's a super cheap notebook. It's really flimsy, but it serves its purpose, and it is cute too. But this one, I just put in lots of random recipes that I just haven't made yet. Or this one I made and just didn't like it very much. Sometimes I keep recipes I don't like because I want to make sure that I don't make them again. And it's not that it was really bad. It's almost like maybe I want to experiment with it and see what I can do to make it better. So sometimes I will keep recipes that weren't a huge hit, but they weren't good enough to go into my binder because they're not ones I'm going to be looking for again. Only like the best ones go in my recipe binder. But in here I have just tons of other recipes that I just thought would be fun to try sometime. So it's almost just kind of like a recipe Pinterest board in a book because I can just deal better with it that way. So that's really all that's in there. It's just a bunch of random recipes that I haven't tried yet. So let me know in the comments if this is something that you've done before or if it's something that you want to do. I have found this really helpful for me in just keeping track of all the things I love most, and I'm sure that you would love it too. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.